Hello there, this time around we're doing a forecast ahead of the week, and the focus is going to be on currencies as well as indices. Welcome back to Consistent Profits. If you do find value out of this channel, kindly subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. In front of me I have the S&P, the US500, and we are kicking things off with this chart. Immediately what we can see is bearish momentum that have been prevailing over the weeks, a couple of weeks now, that this market have been crashing, and so has other US indices, the US100 as well as the US30. What we are expecting in this market is for price, after having traded into this order block over here, to continue momentum to the downside, take out this level over here, and simultaneously trade into this low over here. And below that low there is a fair value gap, and we will be waiting to see how price react once it reaches into this level. Price can easily use that level as support or trade through it and continue momentum to the downside. However, we cannot deny the possibility of this price trading to the upside from where it is through this level over here and reaching into these highs over here, or this swing high over here. And once price have reached into that level, anything can happen. Price can use that level as a rejection level and continue momentum to the downside, or price can simply trade through it into this fair value gap as well. And once price reaches into these levels, or the fair value gap level, we will wait to see how it trades and then align ourselves accordingly. Now we are observing the US100, just like the US500. I'm expecting price to continue trading to the downside. Last week we were anticipating for price to crash to the downside, trade through this level, and potentially into this one. Price indeed broke structure to the downside and continued momentum to the downside and traded into this level over here. And since price traded into this level, we have seen rejection, and we were anticipating for price to continue momentum to the downside after that, or trade into these highs over here and potentially trade into this fair value gap as well. We saw that take place, and at this moment we are seeing a rejection that took place last week Friday, and potentially price can continue rejecting and accelerating momentum to the downside to take out this level over here and eventually trade into this level, which is this low over here. And once that took place, we will observe price and align ourselves accordingly. The most likely scenario to take place as far as the US100 is concerned is bearish momentum to continue. As we proceed, right now we are observing the US100, and what I'm seeing in this market is that price have crashed like it was expected last week, and after that crash, trading into the low that we spoke of last week over here, price began to seek higher prices, and what we can see is that price managed to trade into this fair value gap that we had drawn and we were observing last week. From there we saw rejection, price respecting that fair value gap, and we are expecting this week momentum to the downside to continue. Price trade below this low of last week and simultaneously reach into this level that we have drawn over here, which is essentially this low over here. And then once that has taken place, we will observe if prices continue momentum to the downside or we can expect reversal movement. However, another scenario, of course, that can take place is for price to continue to seek higher prices, potentially trade beyond this fair value gap, and ultimately trade into the swing high that we can see over there. However, the most likely scenario in this market is for the EURUSD to continue to crash going into next week. Now we look at GBPUSD, and we can see there is a fair value gap that has been respected already. And after that, we saw price reject, and potentially price is going to continue momentum to the downside. As we can see, this market, just like the EURUSD, have been pretty much bearish for a couple of weeks. Actually more than a couple of weeks, and we are likely to see momentum continue to trade below this level over here and ultimately this level over here, which is actually this low over here. Another scenario that we can see is at the moment there is a fair value gap also that is being respected, which could easily motivate bullish momentum after price having broken the structure of this level. Price traded into a fair value gap that we just saw there, old fair value gap, and price have began momentum to the upside, and potentially that fair value gap could have just been a support structure to push price further up to trade into this fair value gap, potentially if price tends to be bullish going into next week, and then we will see price reach into these highs here. However, the most likely scenario that we are expecting as far as this market is concerned is for price to crash, take out this level, and continue momentum to the downside. After analyzing the EURUSD as well as GBPUSD, you can see why the likelihood of bearishness in those two markets, because this market over here have been pretty much bullish, and we are likely to see that bullish momentum continue. Last week we had anticipated price to trade into this level over here, and now this week, after price have traded into this fair value gap as well as this one and respected both of them, we are likely to see a push to the upside. And you can see that simultaneously price was also reaching into this order block that we are seeing here, and that gives this bullish sentiment a stronger support to continue and reach into higher prices, this level over here, which is actually this swing high over here. Once price have traded into that level, of course we will observe how it continues further, if it's trying to reject and begin to seek lower prices, and we align ourselves accordingly. However, another scenario, as we already know, as price can easily be bearish next week, trade below this level over here and continue momentum to the downside. But the most likely scenario that will play out as far as this market is concerned is for price to continue bullish momentum. And that's it for this week. Share with me your thoughts about this analysis, this forecast, and without wasting time, I wish you a profitable week. See you on the next one.